The movie begins with Puss in Boots narrating a story about a shooting star that fell from the sky, scorching the woods and creating a dark forest. The wishing star landed at the center of the forest, holding a single wish. Puss is portrayed as a living legend, throwing a party at the governor's house. However, chaos ensues when the house is destroyed, and Puss is ordered to be captured by the governor. Puss fights off the guards effortlessly and outsmarts the governor before launching himself away with fireworks. Unknowingly, this awakens a sleeping monster that attacks the town and captures everyone. Puss engages in an epic battle with a one-eyed giant and manages to knock it unconscious using a bell. The villagers applaud him, but a falling bell crushes Puss, causing him to wake up in the doctor's office. The doctor informs him that he died due to a bell accident, but Puss brushes it off, confident in his 9 lives. The doctor questions him on how many times he died, and Puss recalls 8 instances, including being hit by a bull, killed by dogs in a poker game, and crushed by a bell. The doctor advises Puss to retire, but he remains confident. Puss meets the big bad wolf, who turns out to be a powerful opponent. Puss is disarmed and decides to retire from his life of adventure. He buries his boots and outfit and goes to live with Mama Luna, an old woman who loves cats. Meanwhile, a girl named Goldie and 3 bears, who are bounty hunters, are searching for Puss. Puss encounters a small dog named Perito, who behaves like a cat and can talk. Goldie and the bears find Mama Luna's house but mistake Puss for being dead. Puss overhears their conversation about needing him for a heist to steal a map leading to a wishing star. Puss decides to return to his heroics and find the map before the bounty hunters. He infiltrates Big Jack Horner's house, accompanied by Perito. Puss is intercepted by his former flame, Kitty Soft Paws, and they struggle for the map. Goldie and her bears show up, angry at Kitty for betraying them. Jack chases after them, but Puss and Kitty escape in a carriage driven by Perito. They enter the dark forest through a portal using the map. They discover that the map can alter the environment depending on who holds it. They give the map to Perito, and they encounter giant flowers that are fascinated by Perito's sniffing, allowing them to pass through. The character Goldie and her bears also arrive at the location where the group is. However, they are taken down by Jack and his henchmen who want to cut the flowers to clear a path for themselves. The henchmen end up being eaten by the flowers, but Jack uses a magical creature called the Phony X to get through. Perito tells Puss and Kitty a story about his past life and how his family members hated him and wanted to get rid of him. Despite this, he always keeps coming back to the house. One day, his family members successfully get rid of him by throwing him into the ocean in a sock with a rock. Puss and Kitty are dismayed by how depressing his story is, but Perito sees the silver lining in everything. Perito leaves the crew and goes into a brightly colored forest. However, it turns out that Jack and his henchmen were already there all along. They capture Perito and threaten Puss to hand over the map to them. Another epic combat begins, and just as Puss gets the chance to retrieve the map they lost during the fight, he sees an illusion of the big bad wolf and runs into the forest out of fear. Perito finds Puss under a tree and comforts him. Puss confesses that he is down to his last life and is afraid, which is why he is looking for the wishing star to save his life. He also tells Perito a story about leaving Kitty on their wedding day, because he felt there was no room for anyone in his life of adventure. Kitty overhears Puss expressing regret for hurting her and decides to assist him. Goldie opens the map and it leads her to an old cabin where she starts getting memories of being a helpless little orphan until the bears took her in as their own family. Meanwhile, Puss and his group sneak inside the cabin and Puss retrieves the map again. However, they are spotted by the bears and try to escape. Goldie captures Perito and holds him hostage as the place starts to shift. Puss gets trapped inside a gigantic crystal cave, but shows the map to Kitty so she can find Perito. Perito is captured by Goldie and the bears, but he tells them that they are a perfect family and they just don't realize it yet. He wishes he had one just like they do, and this makes Goldie and the bears adore him. Kitty manages to swipe Perito and get away. Goldie and the bears get lost in the forest and have an argument. Goldie reveals that she is looking for the wishing map to get a real human family, which disappoints the bears as they consider her their real family. Mama promises to help Goldie get her wish if it will make her happy. Meanwhile, Jack uses his men as a bridge, but they fall to their deaths due to the weight of his carriage. A magical creature calls Jack egocentric and is flipped away from his shoulder. Puss meets his former 8 lives inside a cave who try to convince him to abandon Kitty and Perito and find the wishing star for himself. However, Puss realizes he is enjoying his current life and doesn't need to do that. The big bad wolf shows up at the cave and tells Puss that he is death himself. He is there to take Puss's last life since he never valued his other 8 lives. Puss runs away in fear, and Kitty sees him running and becomes disappointed, thinking he is trying to double-cross them. Puss finally finds the wishing star and begins to say the incantation. Kitty and Perito appear, believing Puss is trying to betray them again. Puss is about to reveal that death is chasing him, and he is down to his last life. But Goldie, the bears, Jack, and his henchmen show up. They all engage in an epic battle as they fight for the map. The star begins rising off the ground and creates a force field that spits people out. The last of Jack's henchmen is swallowed by the shining light, and Goldie sacrifices her chance to get the wish to save the bears. Kitty fights off Jack and pushes him into his bottomless bag to rescue Perito. Puss contemplates using his wish, but the big bad wolf traps him in a ring of fire. The wolf taunts Puss for being afraid of death and wanting to use his wish to cheat death. Remembering his good moments with Kitty and Perito, Puss decides to make his last life count. He engages in a tough fight with the wolf and disarms him. The wolf becomes angry and realizes that Puss is different from who he used to be. He decides that another time will come for him to see Puss again, and leaves. Jack comes out of the bag after eating a growing cookie that transforms him into a giant. He takes the map and tries to make a wish, but Perito distracts him with his cute puppy eyes. Goldie throws Puss and Kitty towards Jack, and the bears join in the fight. Puss, Kitty, and Goldie decide to destroy the map as they realize they don't need it. The star starts to destroy, and Jack tries to put the pieces of the map back together. However, the last part is burned by Cricket's Phoenix, completely destroying the map. The star gets destroyed and absorbs Jack before shooting back into the sky and exploding. Goldie and the bears go their separate ways from Puss and his friends. Puss and Kitty now consider Perito their new family, and they sit together watching the stars. The movie ends with the group living happily ever after.